Okay, so part 6, 3 of 3. So, yeah, I was forced to interact with him, and he was a snoop too. He liked to read my stuff, but I'd already learned from the previous person. You know what? Actually, I'm not even sure if he was before or after the previous person. He might have actually been before. Like I said, my memory and my timelines are all fucking screwed up because, everything that ever happened to me is fucking gaslit out of my fucking memory. And so, yeah, um, I had an instance where I was at the computer. I don't like being touched, especially without my fucking permission. But I have to deal with it when it comes to other people and family members, and I can't verbalize it because I'm a kid. Even as a fucking teenager in high school, even all of that, as I'm still a child and I'm still under the roof, so therefore I don't get to say when or when not I want an adult to do something to me. In my logic. Now maybe that wouldn't have been the case, and if I had actually verbalized it, but I had never learned to. And because they weren't doing what had happened before, then maybe this doesn't apply. Well, I was sitting at the computer and I was like, messaging friends. I actually clicked off because I heard them walking past me, and he's like walking out the damn door. And then he says, bye to me and kisses the top of my head. I always have kept my distance from this man. I have not wanted to interact at all. At all. And I have avoided interaction until forced. And he ended up kissing the top of my head. Sorry, I got a notification that I need to look at. I froze because really I wanted to punch him in the fucking face. I have. I used to be affectionate as a kid, and after a certain point, I just didn't like being touched without my fucking permission. Unless, like, there are certain cues or whatever, I guess. But at the same time, like, I didn't. And, like, even to this day, I don't like being touched. And there's times where being touched actually physically hurts me. And one thing I never had learned until I became an adult is that nobody is entitled to touch your body no matter what their relationship with you is without your fucking permission. If you say that you don't want to be touched, then you don't have to be touched. And I've had issues with this with exes, and it's just like my skin hurts when you fucking touch me. Stop touching me. Still trying not to cry. Because it's just like, I don't want to be touched, and they would try to find excuses and reasons. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm so used to. No, just stop. I am distancing myself from you physically because you can't stop touching me. And it hurts. It fucking hurts. Like, my skin hurts when people touch me sometimes, and that's why I don't like being touched. And, like, I still have this thing to this day. And I'm teaching my kids boundaries and stuff like that. But, like, it's different when it's them because I know that they don't understand, and I just take the paint because, they're my babies. And I love them, and I want to physically interact with them on their terms. And that pissed me off so bad. And my mom just, like, giggled out the door with him. And I was just like, what the fuck? And that was the other time that I felt fucking betrayed. Because it's just like, I'm just a laughing fucking stock to you whenever somebody does something to me that I don't like. And that shit frustrated the shit out of me. And I had never actually been able to confront her about anything. Because one time, I tried to talk to her about a trauma that was caused to me by a teacher. No, it wasn't even a teacher. It was a fucking daycare. It was a daycare. I got traumatized because I had a bug crawl up my fucking shirt. And while I was in nap time, and like I was jumping up and down, flapping my fucking shirt, trying to get the dang thing out, it was a giant cockroach. It was the biggest roach I've ever seen. To this day, I have not seen a roach that big. At least not in real life. Freaks me out. Nap time, over. Never slept again at that place. And I tried to like mention that to her, like, oh yeah, remember that daycare that we went to that had, I described it and stuff. And now my phone's fucking dying. Yeah, whatever. I described it to her, and like I guess I said it in the way of like, oh, remember that daycare that you put us in, or something like that. And because I said you put us in the daycare instead of us just going to the daycare, or just the fact that I was mentioning something that she was technically responsible for. But it's not her fault that the damn bug happened. Nor was it anybody else's fault. I was just expressing the fact that it traumatized the shit out of me for the rest of my fucking life. And I was trying to tell her that that's why I started wearing a little bit tighter clothing after that. Because this was before she had ever gotten married. I think. I'm pretty sure it was before she had gotten married. And she was just like, oh, I'm just trauma. Everything that you've ever done in your life or whatever, it's just trauma. Trauma! Like, literally screaming it like that. And I was just like, I'm trying to tell you, when I got traumatized by a motherfucking bug, now if anybody's responsibility was to keep the bug away from me, it would have been the people that we were in the daycare with. Not you. You can't control whether or not a bug crawls into the fucking daycare. And that's when I realized I can't talk to her. That's when I realized I couldn't fucking talk to her. So I just kept my head down until I could get out of there. For the most part, anyway. But I was just like, I could never express these feelings of betrayal. I didn't even know that they were feelings of betrayal until fucking recently, honestly. But it was so fucking frustrating because it was just situations like that. And like, the one time she dated somebody that was not only a nerd, but actually paid attention to us. And mind you, my other siblings in the beginning liked him too. And I actually had fully accepted him by that time. And mind you, I had resolved in my head to be moved out before she ever got married to anybody. And because I was sick of this. And I accepted him. He was the only man that she had ever dated that I actually trusted. And that I actually liked. And we would, he would bond with us over video games and nerdy stuff like Pokemon, The Walking Dead. And they were talking about getting married, and I was like, oh yeah, it's totally cool. Like, I would have actually gone to that wedding without being forced. I would have actually, not been in such a rush to, move or whatever. Because I didn't feel unsafe with him. And that was the first time that I had actually felt safe around another guy. But I ended up moving out before they broke up because she was driving me absolutely fucking nuts. And I guess I'll talk about that in the next one. But they ended up breaking up because, there was other stuff going on behind the scenes. And I was like, why is it always other stuff going on behind the scenes when he's the only fucking person that didn't have shit going on in the front of the fucking scenes? And the other kids ended up not liking him either. And I don't know exactly why. I guess they thought that he was selfish or whatever the case was. Because some reason or another, and I'm not going to repeat it because I don't remember exactly, and that's not necessarily my fucking story. I don't know. So, that's fine that they felt that way because they have every reason to feel that way. But for me, that was a potential father figure that I could actually get behind at the time. I didn't recognize any negative signs or anything like that. He really treated us right.